I told you in a past Lindsey Graham segment that I'd interviewed him in the spin room, or tried to, and I described it as didn't get much, which is why we didn't include it in the sort of my experience in the spin room segment. But then that caused me, and people's interest in it caused me to go back and watch this, and there is something you need to see from my conversation with Lindsey Graham in the spin room. And we got him. We got him in a lie. Video from some time ago that was uncovered versus what he said to me here. Brutal. And this has to do with the border. We'll get to that. I also noted, and I say this with the utmost compassion. Do I have compassion for Lindsey Graham? I think I try to have compassion for everybody, but I don't know. That there was something, the biggest takeaway was not even related to the crazy lie he's trying to tell and him sacrificing his principles to serve Trump despite what he said about him. But instead, I think him doing that is deteriorating something in him in a very abstract way, of course. But looking in his eyes, most of these interviews were pretty uncomfortable because they were confrontational. But that's all right. I live for it. But this was something different. I wanted to get out of there so quick because his looking in his eye, this is such a strange bit of analysis, I know, but I want you to capture this while you're watching, was looking in the eyes of a man who knows he's sold his soul to Trump. And that is not something that gives you joy. All right? So here it is, me confronting him over the border and his situation on his face.
Act pretty quickly.
One of the issues that was brought up by Trump many times, but then Biden tried to insist on the border security bill. I know that you've mentioned that, yeah, Trump's the one who shot that down. On the border, if we're trying to get big change, a border security bill, why wouldn't that be something that sort of hurts Trump's record on the border?
Bill did nothing with parole. The border is broken because Biden overturned every Trump policy. I think, from my point of view, if this election's not over, I don't know what would make it over.
So then he moves back on to that. But Lindsey, and this is just truly, I say this, not to be insulting, but descriptive, humiliating, that he would be willing to look me in the eye or look at the camera or say out loud something like, oh no, the border's broken because of Biden doing things that Lindsey is saying he's done. And that the border security bill, that wasn't great. That wouldn't have been a solution that Republicans blocked. But Lindsey, we got the video. You were on video saying this though, Lindsey.
And I regret that. So everybody who comes on this floor and says our border's broken, we should do something about it, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, we didn't get there. President Trump opposed a Senate bill. We couldn't find a better way forward that would get 60 votes. I hate that, but now we have to deal with what's left for us to take care of in the world.
So he says anyone saying the border is broken and we should act on that congressionally is right, but the thing that prevented that and is preventing that now is Trump telling Republicans to obstruct any legislation on the border so that solutions cannot be brought forward so that he can run on the problems. But Lindsey, you said that. You made fools out of the both of us, Lindsey, when you told me that it's not significant, that border security bill. You were advocating for it. And you said here, because Trump opposed it, we're not doing anything. But let's watch again. Really listen.
To do something about it, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, we didn't get there. President Trump opposed a Senate bill. We couldn't find a better way forward that would get 60 votes. I hate that, but now we have to deal with what...
Yeah. It's sort of like after January 6th, Lindsey Graham said, I'm out on this whole Trump thing, okay? Because I watched as he told lies about our elections that led to an attempted insurrection by his followers. And he sat by and did nothing and watched on the TV as his followers beat in the faces of police officers. And Lindsey Graham said, I'm out on Trump. I liked some stuff he did. I liked him, but I'm out now. And then he went, oh, wait. Did I just have a spine for a second? We can't have that. And he threw his spine back into the garbage and voiced his support again for Trump. And now here, in a moment of aggrievement, Lindsey Graham says, Trump opposed the border bill, so if you're saying we need to do something on the border, we're not going to, because that was our option. This bill that did all the things Republicans have been proclaiming to want. Written by a conservative senator. And to this day, Republicans don't want to hear a thing about solutions to the border. And I'll show you a really good ad that was put out by Ted Cruz's challenger that makes this very point. But Lindsey Graham, again, had that moment of clarity, thinking that it made sense to call out, this is our issue, right? We're the border people. We want to do stuff on the border. So it's sort of our fault, right? That we're preventing legislation to actually do the stuff we've been saying we want to do for political reasons. And then he goes, gosh, no, why am I having principles? And by the time he gets to me, he's back to Trump is perfect all the time, right? It's sad. It's embarrassing. And that's what we see with Lindsey Graham all too often. With all that is going on right now in American politics, it feeling like we're on the world's most aggressive, not that fun roller coaster, bumpy, jerking us around. If you appreciate this show in particular and you want to show your support for it and help us continue to grow, you can do so. It's easy, free, simple, just by clicking that subscribe button. If you haven't already, please do so. Thank you so much. Back to the video. Now, Ted Cruz is another one of these Republicans who let Trump say horrific things about his family. Trump alluded to his wife being ugly, and Ted Cruz responded correctly at the time, but now we know it to have been fake, by saying, you can come after me, but you don't come after my family. That's crossing the line, Donald. And then, again, he realized political relevance, but no principles, or potential political risk and principles. And he chose the one too many of these Republicans chose and went along with Trump. And now he's being challenged by Colin Allred, who we've had on the show. And Allred isn't doing what too many Democrats do, which is sort of stray away from talking about the border. Let's face it head on. Let's go on the offense on the border. And that's what Colin Allred is doing in this new ad.
When it comes to the border, Ted Cruz is all hat, no cattle.
Colin Allred is tough.
He's standing up to extremists in both parties.
Both parties.
When there was actually a good plan,
Backed by sheriffs and border officers.
Republicans and Democrats, Ted Cruz said, we don't need a border bill.
12 years in the Senate and he still has no clue.
I'm Colin Allred, and I approve this message because we don't need talk on the border, we need action.
Democrat running in Texas. A lot of people in Texas, that's a big issue, the border. Too often, and I've heard this criticism from people in my life who are what I would call Democratic curious, okay? Where they could experiment with being a Democrat, but one of the issues that holds them up is the border. Feeling like I hear these Democrats talk about immigration-related issues, but I don't hear clearly something like, we want a secure border, absolutely. We just think we should invest in systems to make it more logistically sound, which can solve some of those security issues, and also have humane policies, but a secure AF, for lack of a better term, border. That's the message I think Democrats need to be going with. And Republicans put politics over policy, put power over people. That's what we're seeing with their border policy, choosing to not act when we need to act so that Biden's hurt politically. From the beginning of Biden's presidency, they've said, we don't want to do anything immigration reform related. No. Despite Biden constantly proposing increases to funding for border patrol, border security, Republicans tell the whole world, the border's wide open. We don't have laws at our border, which I think has sort of a counterproductive effect. But Colin Allred is not doing the thing too many Democrats have done, which is stray away from it. But he's also not trying to cosplay as a Republican. Instead, he's saying, I'm the one who actually wants to get things done. And when we talked about this issue in our interview, he did also talk about, and this should be a part of our message, super important, that issues at the southern border don't justify the horrific dehumanization that we hear from some within MAGA. And we can be humane and secure. We can be humane and solve logistical problems. We can be humane and enforce the law, right? And getting things done is what we should vote for instead of just the most provocative rhetoric. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments. A lot there. And if you want to get extra content and support the work that we're doing, like going to the debate spin room, you can do so by clicking the join button below.